What's up everyone, Mulligan here, and on Wednesday, Direwolf released a new promo card for the month of May for Eternal. Svetya, Orene of Kosul. I wanted to give a few quick thoughts on the card and where it could potentially be used. So let's start off with the stats. This is a 4 power, 4/4 unit requiring 1 justice and 1 primal influence to play. You can pay 8 and exhaust Svetya to draw all units from the top 4 cards of your deck, and you discard the rest. And she also has a summon ability where the enemy player can't play spells or weapons until your next turn. One other quick thing I wanted to mention is that Direwolf has really stepped their game up regarding the lore of Eternal ever since they announced the beginning of the Sealed League last month. They stated that we'll be getting a new promo card along with additional lore every month, and they've been delivering so far. So this month we learned more about the Kosul tribe in Eternal with this promo. I won't go into detail this time around, but I highly recommend you check out the Direwolf digital website and give the latest post a read if you're into the lore. It's just cool watching this whole thing be fleshed out. But anyway, on to the decks that Svetya could find a home in. I will say that it's nice that the pay 8 ability is reusable and not an ultimate. She kind of reminds me of Seraph in that way. And also the text, it also reminds me of Divining Rod as well, regarding the top 4 cards. But I'm going to start off with the really crazy stuff first. There's some crazy combos that you can do with the pay 8 ability. So Svetya has synergy with revenge units, in particular the ones that have already had revenge activated and have gained destiny, since any destiny units you draw would automatically be played. Also, Echo units like Thunderstrike Dragon, along with cards like Second Sight and Excavate, have pretty good synergy with this card as well. Some might be thinking, you know, hey, all those types of decks are always 3-faction decks. But here's the thing. Svetya only requires a single influence for Justice and Primal, so splashing her into 3-faction decks shouldn't be too difficult. Brewers should have fun with all kinds of 3 and 4-faction shenanigans with this card. I could see the 4-faction Mokdo Crown decks try to utilize her, and maybe even some Time Justice Primal Clockroach decks would use her as well. That's a deck that hasn't seen play in a while, since most are in favor of Dark Roaches, the Time Primal Shadow variant. Some others have even mentioned using her in Justice Primal Shadow decks, using Haunting Scream to bring her back and lock the opponent's hand down for multiple turns. The more realistic approach for Svetya is that she'll see use because of her summon ability. It looks like Direwolf is giving the anti-weapon shtick to Huru. First they got Huru Pacifier, and now this. Huru used to be pretty bad versus relic weapons, but now they've gotten stronger against stuff like Armory between Pacifier and this card. I think she needs to seriously be considered for aggro and mid-range decks that could play her. She does compete with Shelterwing Rider, and because of that, she might end up being a backup 4-drop in a generic Huru or TJP mid-range deck. If nothing else, I think Huru mid-range should run Svetya though. Maybe not over Shelterwing Rider, but the deck doesn't run Protect anymore since the card got nerfed, so currently Huru has no way of giving Aegis back to Shelterwing Rider, unless they're willing to run the underwhelming Mistveil Drake. Svetya gives you another way of protecting your units from board wipes for a turn. She's very powerful in a deck that wants to curve out with units in the early game, so a Hailstorm or a Harsh Rule doesn't wipe away all the work you put into building your board. Also, redundancy is still somewhat important in mid-range decks, and having up to 8 ways of stopping relic weapon removal isn't going to hurt. She does die to Auric Runehammer on following turns, but most decks that run Runehammer want to be doing something else on turn 5 or 6, not playing Runehammer to kill a 4/4. All things being said though, there is some counterplay to this card when it comes to spells. This particular summon effect gives the opponent a window to respond to it with fast spells if they've got enough power to play them, since it affects the opponent and not yourself or your own units. So if they've got a Death Strike, they can kill Svetya, or if they've got Wisdom of the Elders, they can use it to draw before the summon ability takes effect. However, they won't be able to use any other spells after the summon effect hits, even if Svetya dies. Also, Face Aegis protects the opponent from this effect as well. Once again, cards like Protect or the dreaded Cobalt Waystone will ruin your party. My hatred for this Waystone continues to intensify with every waking moment. Overall, looking at both abilities, it seems like Svetya is meant to be used in unit-heavy decks, or at least decks that can generate additional units like the ones mentioned earlier. It doesn't seem like she's designed to be used in unit-light decks, which are usually your control decks. The fact that she's what Magic players call mana sink solidifies this, which basically means she gives you something to spend your power on in the late game. And aggro and mid-range decks usually don't have much to do in the late game. So this is a solid promo card. Those are all the thoughts I have on Svetya. She's only available for a limited time though. You've got until May 28th to earn 4 copies of Svetya, and your first PvP win each day earns you 1 copy of the card until you have 4. So make sure you log in and play the games you need to. But even if you do miss it, you can use shiftstone to craft her after the promo period ends. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and check out the other Eternal content I've got on the channel. Also, let me know in the comments what ideas you have for utilizing Svetya. And consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this. I'll see you all soon. Take care.